What's up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? Buggy2988 coming at you live once again to the power of the internet. And today there was a Nintendo Direct, and they showed primarily stuff that people who own a Nintendo Switch would be interested in. But there is a game that is coming to the Nintendo Switch that apparently was announced today, and that's a new Star Wars game. And I'm a little concerned. The game is Star Wars Hunters, and it takes place between episode 6 and 7. And this is a third-person competitive shooter game, and it's made by the company Zynga. So I have a lot of reasons to be concerned, and I think you should be as well. When you look at the website, you'll see that this is only coming to the Nintendo Switch, iOS, and Android. It's a game that we can all ignore. We can completely, easily ignore. No big deal. Who cares? It's not a game we're likely to play anyway. If we are a PC gamer, if we're a console gamer, we can probably just ignore this game, right? Except we really shouldn't. Just a few years ago, the Star Wars decided that EA would be the people to make Star Wars games exclusively, and I'm certain that EA paid a lot of money for that, and it boded poorly. Obviously, it worked out pretty poorly as well, with Battlefront 1 and Battlefront 2 being so full with microtransactions that ultimately that meant that the entire Star Wars franchise suffered. EA suffered, Disney suffered, and certainly the gamers suffered as well. I mean, EA's Star Wars games were so filled with microtransactions, it actually resulted in laws getting passed to prevent that type of thing from happening again in several different countries. I mean, that's how bad it was. But I mean, towards the end there, when they had somebody like Respawn Entertainment making a Star Wars game, I have to say that Jedi Fallen Order was spectacular. It was a really, really good game. And I didn't really enjoy Rogue Squadron, but I know a lot of people who did. And those games were very different from Battlefront 1 and 2. I feel like EA was finally learning the lesson that what we wanted was good video games and not casinos. We all kind of hope that EA lost the license because of the microtransactions, because of the casinos, because of the way they monetize those games. But that doesn't seem to be the case because they're letting Zynga be the folks who are making a new Star Wars game. Zynga, of course, is famous for several different games, but one of the most popular ones is Zynga Poker, which is a literal online casino. Zynga has also figured out a very popular little formula where they take a lot of your favorite licenses and combine them with their microtransactions models, whether it's Game of Thrones, Willy Wonka, Harry Potter, games that appeal to kids, and then they teach them how to play junior versions of casinos until they move their way all the way up to the regular Zynga poker that they're hoping we'll all play. And do not get me wrong here. I'm not defending EA. That's not something I'm doing here. I don't want them to maintain the Star Wars exclusivity. I do think they should still be allowed to make Star Wars games, but they shouldn't be the only people making Star Wars games. But I guess it turned out that we were delusional if we thought that the reason Disney took away that Star Wars exclusivity was because they don't like microtransactions, because they didn't like the bad press, because letting Zynga design a Star Wars game is that exact same thing all over again, probably just worse. And I guess if it's not as high profile as EA is, they're thinking if it's only on mobile, if it's only on the Nintendo Switch, gamers like you and me won't talk about it, but here I am, I'm talking about it, and hopefully the other gamers will talk about it too. Now, the good news is Zynga is just one of many companies that are now making Star Wars based games. So obviously we're going to have Ubisoft making an open world game later in the year. If you are in the VR games for Star Wars are absolutely fantastic, and I do highly recommend them. Everyone I've played, including Vader Immortal 1 and 2, just gorgeous, just so good, and you should absolutely play them. And it looks like EA has not been entirely cut out of this either. They could develop the next Jedi Fallen Order or some other decent game like that. As of October last year, they were looking for people to work on a new Star Wars game, and hopefully it will be a good one. So I'm not saying that we will never have another good Star Wars game again. I'm not saying that we won't have another Jedi Fallen Order, but when we have companies like Ubisoft, we have companies like Zynga making these games, it's pretty evident that Disney still wants to make a buttload of money, and they don't particularly care how they do it. I mean, obviously, they're Disney. So the point of this video is to drive home the fact that do not maintain any delusion that Disney cares about the Star Wars gaming license and that they want it to be treated with integrity and love. They tried that last year with Jedi Fallen Order, and for some reason the Game Awards completely ignored that game except for like one category. So they know No one seems to really care except us gamers, and we buy it anyway. But I just want to point out, we were all under the impression that the reason EA lost that license and didn't get it renewed, that exclusivity, is because they didn't treat the games with the dignity and love and respect that we Star Wars fans wanted. But when you hand that game off to a company like Ubisoft, you would hope they would say you can't do the Far Cry-fication of this game that you've done. You can't monetize it to such ridiculous degrees. And maybe they did with Ubisoft, but when you hand that game off to Zynga, there's only one type of game Zynga makes. You know exactly what they're going to do, and Disney, of course, knew that. They're going to take a license that appeals to kids, put it on platforms that appeals to kids, and teach them to gamble. And that sucks. And what's so frustrating about that, for me, is the fact that the Marvel Cinematic Universe has such a gravitas with it. It's so incredible, and Star Wars deserves that exactly the same. And when it comes to, Avengers, Marvel's games, the games have been pretty poor. Take a look at the Avengers game by Square Enix. They let them do that to that game as well, so it makes sense that they're going to let them do it with Star Wars as well. But we're also on the edge of this Star Wars renaissance, and I just really want it to happen. I mean, The Mandalorian was absolutely fantastic, and I'm hoping they're making a season 3. And when you look at these other shows that are coming up, like Ahsoka, there's such a chance that Star Wars could be absolutely incredible. And instead of having to go to the theater to see it, you can stream it at home right now in front of your television where you're safe and sound. And that's fantastic. Fantastic. I think Star Wars has a chance of really reinventing itself and becoming fantastic again. But as someone who doesn't just stream television shows, as someone who plays video games, I want the video games to be at least that good as well. I want the Mandalorian of video games, maybe even a Mandalorian video game. And I'll admit, Jedi Fallen Order was fantastic. It was great. It was a step in the right direction. But it looks like we've taken a step back. At the end of the day, I could be wrong. I hope that I'm wrong. Maybe the Ubisoft game will be good. Maybe one of the EA games they're working on will be good. Maybe Zynga has learned its lesson and doesn't want to make maximum cash off of minimal effort and fleece children. Maybe. It seems unlikely, but I am forever an optimist. I'm hoping for the best, but I'm prepared for the worst. But who knows at this point? I would love to hear what you guys think. Is this a game that you're upset about? Is this a game that you're just going to ignore? What do you think about the future of Star Wars games? What did you think about Jedi Fallen Order? Let me know in the comments section below. I'll be down there interacting and hearting comments. Drop a like on this video if you want to see more like this in the future. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because most of my views come from people who are not currently subscribed. And if you were to subscribe, it could really help me out. If you hit that notification bell, they'll let you know every time a video goes live, and you can watch it as soon as it does. Guys, as always, thanks for watching. I love you very much, and I'll speak with you again soon. And may the Force be with you.